Welcome to another episode of The Play Callers.
You already know.
You already know what it is, man. It's live, interactive sports talk every Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, the one and the only.
That would be this gentleman here, 𝗏𝗃. And I am joined as well, also by that guy.
That would be me. I mean, I don't have a cool nickname like cool in the game over here.
Hey, man, some things just fall into your lap and it's your responsibility to grab them up. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, man. So some interesting stuff to talk about tonight. But before we jump into that, if you are joining us live or if you're catching us on replay and you weren't here last week, we have a new feature for you, and that is the Play Callers Hotline. You see the number at the bottom of the screen, 678-680-3998. You can call that number anytime throughout the week. Leave your questions or comments, anything you want us to talk about on the show, or just let your opinion be heard. And you can just call and leave a voicemail on there at any time. And we do have a couple of people that did that this week. We'll be playing those calls during the show tonight. So,
how we do?
Yes, sir. Putting the interactive in interactive.
With the sports talk on the side, just a little sprinkle of it.
Just a little sprinkle. Sprinkle me mine. Sprinkle me mine.
Absolutely, man. So, hey, man, we got a lot of stuff to get to. Yeah, I know every week we end up not being able to condense everything into the hour. But, we're going to do our best. So, I figure we might as well go ahead and get popping.
Absolutely, man.
We might as well start with the whole, didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, but the Hall of Fame. It was a great ceremony for those of you who got to watch it. If you didn't, I would recommend checking out actually everyone's speech. There was a lot of great speeches. There was a couple of WNBA players, some announcers, and a lot of NBA players that were inducted. The one that was the best, I'm not going to talk about because I'm going to leave that for that gentleman over there. But one that I thought had a lot of very emotional moments and was unique to what we know about him was Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan had a great induction speech, a lot of emotion. It felt like a whole different person from the guy that we saw on the court every week. And obviously you can't tell what's going on inside of a person by what you see, but just a lot of emotion he let out, a lot of love he has for Popovich, his teammates, David Robinson for mentoring him and different things. So I thought he had a very excellent speech. I loved Kevin Garnett's speech as well, the ties between him and Kobe. And that was a theme kind of throughout everyone who was there. A lot of people had different connections to Kobe Bryant, and they made sure to bring those up, which I thought was really great. Vanessa did a great job, and it was just a wonderful overall thing. It got delayed obviously because of COVID, but it was great to actually see that happen, man. I was very excited and happy. Like I said, if you didn't see it, man, go find it on YouTube, or if you have ESPN and you can see the replay, go ahead and do that. It's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of great speeches, man. I'm not even really going to talk too much about what Vanessa Bryant had, said, because it's one of those things that, I mean, what do you even really say? Because all I can really and honestly do is just say that I really admire her ability to stand up there and even keep her emotions relatively in check. To actually be able to keep her composure and keep it together. The one thing I will say that I think everybody would agree with, brought a big smile to Michael Jordan's face, and was definitely something I think Kobe would have said had he been there himself, which is that she said he would have wanted to thank all his haters. because we all know
Absolutely.
that Kobe thrived on the hate. So I definitely feel like she did a good job of representing what he would have wanted said had he been up there giving his own speech. So I think she did a great job of it. I know there were some things that, people had some questions about or whatever, or that, people didn't necessarily like, or things that people loved. But I'm just gonna say overall, man, I think she did a great job of representing what he would have wanted. And I'm sure it can't be easy for her.
Well, I have to look at it like this. You're already asked to give the speech for the headliner for the Hall of Fame class, who is deceased, who is your husband. So you're already coming in at a disadvantage, right? Because you don't have the stories to tell of, locker room camaraderie with the other guys because you weren't there. As French Montana said in the song a long time ago, she wasn't with him shooting in the gym. So she had to somehow take what she knew about him, wrap it up into a story, and try to relate it to his NBA career as well as the person that she knew. So I think she did a great job. I know her oldest daughter wasn't able to attend because she had her prom actually the same night. And I read some articles where Vanessa basically wanted her to go because she didn't get to go to her prom and she didn't want her to miss her prom. So I think that was, a valid reason to me to not be there. But you couldn't ask for more for someone else outside of the basketball community doing what she did, and especially, with it being her husband that she had to do it for. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you could feel like it could have been better, like some of the other guys, but how was she going to make it better? It's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's true though, man. I mean, one thing I will say, excuse me, I know she had said a comment about how she she knew Kobe always was complimenting and told how great it was. So she kind of saw it as partly her job to keep him a little bit humble. And I think a lot of people kind of read into that as being a negative. My thing is, I don't know what their relationship was. I don't know what that dynamic was between them. I'm not going to assume anything like that. But I did see one comment about it on Facebook that I'll just kind of throw out there for any of the ladies that are out there listening. No matter how many people tell your man that he is the greatest thing ever, he really need to hear from you. So I will just throw that out there to say, ladies, if you're listening and you are trying to keep your man, humble, go and blow him up every now and then. Even us men need to be blown up every now and then. We need some compliments from our better half, our other half, depending on how you feel about your other half.
Or whoever you have in your life, right? Whoever the important people are, you need to hear that from them. Definitely agree with that. You just, guys needed to, trust me.
Yeah.
So, not a lot that you could really say, but it was a great experience. I love some of the speeches from some of the ladies, the coaches that got in, the WNBA players. Everything felt really, just solid, emotional. And we got a chance to kind of understand these different people.
Yeah.
So that was great for me as far as reaching back, because a lot of the people that got in were people that I was watching when, I was a teenager, younger guy. So it was great for me. And I think you can learn a lot, especially some of our younger viewers, by checking out those things and hearing those stories about these people that played, back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. But now we have to turn our attention to people who are playing today. Not like right
Yes.
a second necessarily, but just in the present times.
Yes.
So we've had a couple of these playing games, and I gotta tell you, man, I felt that the Lakers and Warriors game was the absolute worst thing that could have happened for people like me that are not fans of this play-in, because it was a great game, and so everyone's going to go crazy about how it was a great game and how playing was such a great idea because it was a great game. And I saw people say, this might have been the game of the season. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, they played 72 games and it took this long for somebody that had a game of the season. That's ridiculous.
Well, people are prisoners of the moments. And I will say this. I have not seen anyone go out and put as much effort as the Lakers did in that playing game to stop Steph Curry and him still to get his rocks off. So
Yep.
that makes the game amazing. That makes that one of the best games, because you actually had a team that basically at some points during the game, there were 3 to 4 people guarding Steph and everybody else was just like one person guarding him. You haven't seen that before. You know why? Because it wasn't a situation where I win this game or I don't. But if I don't win this game, I may not be the playoffs. Because again, um, the Lakers won, so they're the 7th seed. But Golden State has to turn around and play another game tonight in order to make the playoffs. So if you don't go out and have all out intensity and treat it like a college game, which I feel like both teams did, you don't get what you got from that. You don't see that. You don't get that emotion. You don't get that excitement. You don't get that. So people can not like the playing games. People can like the playing games. But at the end of the day, that was at least one of the better games of the season. You had LeBron and Steph going head to head. LeBron had some other guys that were really able to help. Steph had Wiggins put up a few points to help out. Draymond Green had 2 points. 2 points was his contribution. And I'm not saying he didn't contribute in other ways, but in the game you lose by 3 points. When one of your better players has 2 points, yeah. Still able to stick in there. It still took a buzzer beater to win the game. So big ups to Steph Curry, man. I said this before the season started. Big ups to that man. Whether they make the playoffs or not, that man carried their team on his back. Not my MVP, but definitely in the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, we said it before the season. We said right here on the show and told people that Steph could get them into the playoffs. And my thing is, and the issue I have with the whole playing thing is, the Lakers earned a 7 seed. They've now earned a 7 seed twice. Golden State earned an 8 seed already. They shouldn't have to earn it twice. Well, they're clearly, even if they lose to Memphis, they're clearly a better team than Memphis.
But are they really a better team than Memphis?
In my opinion, yes.
They have a better player than Memphis. They have a player that Memphis can't touch. But are they a better team than Memphis? With what they have for weapons and what Memphis has all around, are they actually a better team?
I think they are.
I think they're about on the same level right now. I think the difference is Steph Curry. But I think that if you look at Memphis as a team, not as who the best player on the team is, but as a team, I would just say they're just as good as Golden State. Golden State is bereft. No Kelly Oubre, no James Wiseman. We know that there's no Klay Thompson. So you're looking at a team that has one bona fide certified superstar and a lot of role players that play good some games, not so good other games. So are they really that much better? And to me, the answer is no.
So speaking of the Lakers, we're going to get to this in a little bit when we are previewing each series. But I'll just go ahead and throw out here for you Witty's comment. He's rooting for CP3 to get a ring. I'll tell you my thoughts on that in a little bit.
Well, that definitely puts you at odds with that guy over there. But hey, it is what it is on that one. So I'm going to start this off, man, real quick. We're going to talk about the playing games. So I want to talk about the Charlotte Hornets and the Indiana Pacers. Charlotte, you lost 6 games to end the season. Very disappointing into your season. And you had an opportunity to try to show up and really play and make it in, or at least get the opportunity to play the 8 seed to make it in. After pushing yourself out of just being an 8 seed from poor play down the stretch, it's like you crumbled at the end. Now, on the flip side of that, big ups to the Indiana Pacers. They weren't able to beat the Wizards, but they were able to, game along with a lot of other people thought they were going to lose. Charlotte has a good core, but they should be able to compete in the future if they can add a little bit more. That was an opportunity to at least slide in that back door to playoffs, get a little experience, and be ready so that in the future, where you're trying to go, you have an opportunity. And you got smashed. The worst blowout of all the games. You got smashed. Mm-hmm. You didn't just lose a close game. You didn't show up. So whoever that team would be, it just happens to be the Hornets. You disappointed yourselves because not that you lost, but the way that you lost, that was never a game. That's disappointing. And the fan base here is upset. They're overreacting because you got to remember before the year, they didn't have the expectations that even I had. I said the Hornets would win like 35 games and make the playoffs. They won 33, and then they stunk it up the end. Close, but hey, not my team. But I was happy for them because they've been really bad for a while, and for them to kind of get it turned around somewhat, that was great. Pacers, half the team out, still beat the Hornets. Got to give them props.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they lost. So,
Yep. Then something that I did not think could happen. Jason Tatum came out and put up a 50 spot and beat Washington, basically almost by itself. I mean, other people contributed, but it was really him. Yep. So they're in the 7th seed in the East. They get a chance to play the New Jersey Nets, the Brooklyn Nets.
That's it.
With a consolation prize.
That's a consolation prize.
Man, that's tough.
That's what they get for winning.
I got to tell you, man, if I'm a team in the bottom half, I really didn't want to be 7-8 anyway because the Sixers, the Nets, and the thing about those as well as the Bucks, those are teams that have elite talent in multiple positions, and they will attack you, threaten you, and they have championship aspirations. Mm-hmm. The rest of those guys, 5 through 8, I'm sorry, no disrespect, I don't see any of y'all coming out of the East with the possibility maybe the Heat can repeat what they did last year, but I doubt it. I honestly doubt it.
Yeah. So what he said, Buzz City will be okay. They're getting there to be a playoff contender.
We'll see.
So my only comment on that would be, I would agree that they're headed in the right direction and there's reason to believe that they could be a playoff contender. The thing is, we sometimes forget everybody else is going to get better too. So it's not like, oh, you didn't make the playoffs this year, but you'll definitely make it next year. This was an opportunity for you to actually get there.
Yeah. And
you lost.
Yeah, you can't drop 6 in a row and basically play yourself out of contention, man. It's tough. And you got to think about, they got some decisions they're going to have to make on their roster soon. They got some guys coming up that they're going to have to decide if they want to keep or they want to move on. So they're not going to be just like everyone else on the same team moving forward. So it's going to suck, but it has to happen to everyone. Some guys are going to feel like they need a bigger role or a bigger payday than can be offered. And Charlotte is one of those teams, like in Oklahoma City, different places. You don't have people saying, oh, I'm a free agent. I'm going to go to Oklahoma City. I'm going to go to Charlotte. I'm going to go, to this place or that place. You have places where people don't really want to go, right?
Yeah.
So Charlotte is one of those places. They historically have not gotten great free agents. So when you're in one of those situations, your draft picks, the guys that you do sign, you need them to play well. So we'll see what happens. But, I live in Charlotte. So do I want the Hornets to be good? Yeah, but hey, if it's between them and the Nuggets, I don't care. It's always the Nuggets.
Always, man. Always got to stick with your team.
You know what I'm saying? So you look better, but we'll see how things play out for a lot of teams in the next couple of years, because as these young guys come up or guys that were traded to you, whatever, it's going to be interesting. Agreed with you. Agreed.
Yeah. So just for those who might be watching on Facebook and can't see YouTube comments, what he was just saying, the Charlotte market is always a negative place for NBA athletes.
NFL athletes too.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, man, I don't necessarily know that it's a negative, right? Like, it's not like where, say, Cleveland, where people actually look at it negatively. A lot of times, it's more that it's just not an attractive market.
Well, ask yourself this. How many big name free agents have came to Charlotte in the last 5-10 years?
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not like people are just like, oh, Charlotte's just this terrible place. It's not attractive. There's nothing there.
No, they actually are like it's. No, they actually are like it's a terrible place. They actually are. Yeah,
okay, maybe
it's like Cleveland and other places.
I haven't heard any comments about Charlotte itself being terrible. So
no, we've had NFL players as well as NBA players. There have been players that came out and said, "I don't want to play in Charlotte." I took that money to go somewhere else. I didn't want to play in Charlotte. So it's
Wait,
yes.
man. Wait, man. You're there, man. You're the boots on the ground, man. I'll take your word for
You hear
it.
it. And I mean, I'm not saying every player says that, but there are players that say, "Nah, I don't want to go to that market." That's the same as going to Cleveland, right? I mean, honestly, up until this year when they got Hayward and were able to draft LaMelo Ball, it was pretty much the same team as Cleveland as far as how good they played.
Yeah.
And then the money ain't there for everybody. Some people gonna be gone. You're gonna have to make room to try to get other people, and you got to maneuver because you got to look at a lot of times you don't get that top tier free agent. You're not in New York, you know what I'm saying? You're not in Brooklyn, you're not in LA. You're like a Denver was 5 years ago, where it's okay. People aren't like, there's no possible way I would go there, but if you give me the option to go there or like Miami or somewhere else that people want to be, I'll take that other option.
Yeah. I feel
So
you,
we're
man.
definitely in that group, man. We're definitely in that group with Cleveland, Oklahoma City, and some of those other teams. We're definitely in that group, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't know anything about that, man.
Yeah. The city of
I can't
Charlotte
relate.
itself.
I can't relate.
Yeah.
I've never really understood why Atlanta seems to be in that list too, though. I mean, you would think people would actually want to come to Atlanta,
But
but
see, it feels like it's only that for the Hawks, though, right? Because people will go to the Braves, people will go to,
no, not really. They have
yeah,
a
go to
hard
the
time getting
Falcons.
people to come. Even the Falcons have a hard time getting a lot of big name free agents to come here.
Well, I know the Braves get a lot of guys to come.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It might just be the Braves, man.
yeah, it's the one that interests me there. The rest of the Atlanta teams be gone.
Maybe the Atlanta United gets big names. They might get some big names.
Possibly. Possibly. But yeah, man. So it's time to go ahead and dive into those playoff predictions
Well, hold on.
for
We forgot
round one.
we forgot about one playing game.
No,
We
didn't
only
forget.
briefly mentioned it.
We
The
didn't forget.
Wizards actually did beat the Pacers,
They
so
did.
we at least want to acknowledge that.
Yeah, they
And
beat the Pacers. They're in.
the other game starts in about 10 minutes. So, well, it's scheduled to start in about 10 minutes. So we all know that means it'll actually start in about an hour.
Yeah. So basically, we'll hit the Western Conference. Obviously, we don't have a winner yet, so we got one of two teams. So we clearly know the Jazz is going to be in the game. They're either going to be playing the Grizzlies or the Warriors. I think the more attractive series would be the Warriors because you have Steph Curry, and how you're going to have to defend him is going to allow other people to play a little bit better. But I think the Grizzlies could still do well because they have nothing to lose. Whichever team comes out of this game, they don't have anything to lose. They're not going to win the series.
No.
So let me make that clear. I'm not saying that either one of them is going to win a series, but I think Golden State can make it a little better series. And hey, Golden State has been an 8 seed and upset a number one before, so it wouldn't be unprecedented, but I think it would be highly unexpected, let's say, if that were to happen. I think we're going to see Utah advance, whichever team they play. I'm going to throw my lot in and say Steph comes out playing like he did the other night, a little mad because they lost that game and how they lost it, and some questionable things that were brought up later on in the game. So I'm going to say Golden State holds form, which has happened throughout so far, and wins, and then loses to the Jazz, and we'll give them 6. Steph gets 2 monster games. We'll give them 6.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. I mean, I do feel it. Let's not sleep on Ja. Ja's killing out there in Memphis.
He is.
But I do think that Golden State is going to win, get the 8 seed. And I think 2 games for them is pretty reasonable. I don't think they have any chance of winning the series.
No.
But Steph by himself can get you like at least 1 win, possibly 2. So
Yeah, I think he can get you 2. And it's the
I think
playoffs.
6 is reasonable.
You play checkers, right? If you see Steph really snapping a game and it's going to be hard to get back in the game, just chill out, let him do his thing. We'll come back and get him next game. You kind of have to play that chess because you still have to play someone else. The next one is going to be a better team. So you're going to want to be, prepared for them rested and condensed season. Whenever you can give guys a break, you kind of want to play that into things. The next matchup, we're not even going to ask this dude, okay? He's not even allowed to give us because we know what his pick's going to be. He can tell us how many games, but we already know who he thinks is going to win.
Hold up, let me just go and put my mic on mute.
So we have the Suns and we have the Lakers. What I think is the most interesting thing about this, now we really are going to let him talk. We got to let him be a homer. But the interesting thing about it is the Lakers are the 7th seed. Injuries, yeah, whatever, but they're the 7th seed. But they're favored in the series. So if you're a Suns fan or you're a Suns player, that's extra motivation. And I'm not saying that that's enough to beat the Lakers, but I'm saying I think this may be the best series of the first round. And I do anticipate this series going 7 games. Now, what I will say, and what a logical non-Lakers fan would say to you is, there's a reason one team gets home field advantage, or home court, advantage. And that's so in this situation, Game 7 is in their building. So with Game 7 being in Phoenix, I'm going to say that Phoenix wins in 7.
I'm going to say that yes, there is a reason why one team gets a higher seed. And in this particular instance, it is injuries. The Lakers would have easily been the 1 or the 2 seed this year had they not had the injuries they had. So to me, this is not really a 2 versus 7 matchup. This is more like a 1-2 versus probably like a 3-4. So to me, this probably will be a pretty competitive series, but I do feel this was the best matchup for LA to get. You pointed this out yourself about a month ago when I was saying that maybe Denver might be a good matchup for Skate because of the injuries. The fact of the matter is Phoenix does not have the size to deal with the Lakers. The biggest thing that's going to hurt LA is they still need a little time to get their chemistry. LeBron, although he played well against Golden State, clearly is not at 100%. And, he gave this answer about, I'll probably never be 100% in my life again. But it's like, well, that's all fine and good, bro. But you're not at 100%, game ready.
Yeah.
I think he's probably at a point where he's not going to go out there and re-injure himself. But he's never going to go out there and be 100%.
Yeah, not this season, clearly. You know.
He might have a couple of games where he looks 100%, but it's not going to be a consistent thing. So AD is going to have to carry a lot of the load, which is fine. But I think that one thing that LA is going to have to do is they're going to have to move Drummond out of starting lineup. If you watched the game against Golden State, when did that game turn around? When they pulled Drummond out. When they moved AD to the 5. I know he don't like playing the 5 in the regular season. He said he's wanted to play in the playoffs. Well, it's the playoffs, bro. It's time for you to go ahead and move back to the 5. It's time to bring Gasol back into the starting lineup because he can spread the floor better. If they make those, I actually think LA could win the series in 5. If they insist on sticking with Drummond,
very disrespectful.
If they stick with Drummond, it might take 6 or 7 to get this done.
Wow.
But yeah, I think
5.
I said they could get him at 5. I'm gonna say 6 on my prediction, just because I think it's gonna take a little bit of time. I won't be shocked if this series goes to 7, only because of the chemistry aspect of it. LA's gonna need a little bit of time to get their chemistry together. I'm not even gonna be shocked. I'm just gonna go and say this now so that I don't get blown up by messages from people trash talking me after game 1. I'm not even gonna be surprised if we get blown out the first game. And all I'm going to remind people is we got blown out the first game of every series last year except for 1. And we still took this home. So
5 games. I'm just 5 games. Wow.
I said it.
All right. So we'll go to
and
the
a
next
whole bunch of other
matchup.
stuff.
Yeah. We'll go to the next matchup. So we got the number 3 seed Nuggets versus the number 6 seed Trailblazers. This was probably the hardest draw that Denver could have gotten, just because we're missing our starting point guard. You may have heard of him, Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
One of the stars of the bubble last year. You may have heard of him.
Might have got mentioned once or twice.
Yeah. So he's out. So we're relying on guys like Austin Rivers, Monte Morris, and other guys to PJ Dozier to come in and try to play those minutes and help the team. Michael Porter Jr. stepped up quite a bit. To me, we have the size to compete with Portland. And for those who may not remember, Jusuf Nurkic was actually on our team, and we came to a point where we had to make a decision, and Nurkic was not the decision. Jokic was. So there's some familiarity with Nurkic, how he plays, what he can and can't do. But I think we can match up with them at most positions. Now, like I said, the biggest concern is Damian Lillard. I'm going to be a homer here, and I'm going to go Denver in 6.
6? So disrespectful.
Yeah, not 5, though. I'm not saying they're going to win one game, when my team's coming off injuries and not gelling well, but I'm going to beat the other team 4 out of 5 games. I'm not saying that, because my team is intact. Everybody's going to play. Has been playing together for weeks, but I'm not going to disrespect. I'm not going to respect another NFL.
Y'all go ahead and mark it down. Yeah,
I'm not going to mark it down. NBA franchise is the number 2 seed out of nowhere and disrespect them and say that my team's going to beat them in 5 games. I'm not doing that. But I think we can win in 6. I wouldn't be surprised if it was to go to 7, but hopefully we can take care of them before we get to game 7, because game 7s are basically like playing games. And we don't want that.
Well, I'm going to tell you, there's one reason why I do not believe that Denver can win this series in 6. Because I don't think they're going to win it at all.
Well, that would be a good reason not to think they're going to win in 6. But hey, I don't think the Lakers are going to win. So,
Portland right now is playing. They're one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs right now, and Lillard is. I mean, he's Lillard. We beat them in 5 games last year, and a lot of the reason we were able to get them out in 5 was him getting injured. Had he not get injured, I still think we would have won that series, but it might have actually gone 7. So I think Portland actually has all the tools, barring any injuries. I actually have them winning the series in 6.
That's great. Not to mention, Trailblazers had a lot of other people that were out injured last year as well. So there we have that. So now we'll go to the coward game. I have to say this. I don't care. Clippers, you whack for that. What you did. You know what you did. You whack for it. Preach. You started tanking like games before just to make sure that you weren't going to hit a spot where you might play the Lakers in the first or the second round.
Preach.
So that right there, it's either a stroke of genius or a stroke of cowardice or somewhere in the middle. Probably somewhere in the middle to get where you're trying to get to, right? But here's the thing. No disrespect to Dallas fans. The Clippers are, to me, the most talented team in the NBA. But talent alone doesn't win. The Dallas is another team that has, to me, a little bit of a soft constitution about them as far as toughness goes overall. And, maybe I'm not reading into things properly, but I know I'm going to do a pretty good job of this. I feel like Dallas is a team that they can play well. They can hit on all cylinders, but they can also get into a little bit of that. You're not giving us calls. We're not playing well. My teammates are not doing this. So I'm going to kind of pout a little bit. Not going to name any names, but I think everybody knows who we're talking about or who I'm talking about. So I think that the Clippers are going to drop this series in. Now, this might be 5. I'm going to say 6, but this could be 5 because the Clippers are that talented on the basketball court. And that's what people have to realize. The questions about the Clippers are about what they're going to do up here later. It's not about the talent. So I think this will be an easy series for them. And that's why they tanked to get there. They targeted the team and they got there to play them.
So I agree. They definitely were trying to avoid playing the Lakers, which I think is stupid. Because the thing is, you actually wanted to see the Lakers. The main reason I'm picking the Lakers to beat the Suns is because of the fact that the chemistry is not going to quite be there. the Clippers have enough talent that they might have actually been able to beat the Lakers in the first round. You mess around and you don't see the Lakers until the Western Conference Finals. I mean, I know the Clippers have never been to the Western Conference Finals, so they're not familiar with what goes on there. But you don't want to give a team like the Lakers the opportunity to gel and get back on rhythm. Now, in terms of why they would have wanted to avoid the Lakers, this is why. They soft.
This dude that made the thing to pop up there. Hey, listen, man. Until they prove otherwise in the playoffs, there is no argument with that particular statement. You were with
if I had more time, I would have made a full screen, just so you know.
If you're a Clippers fan, hey, you feel how you feel, but at the end of the day, until you prove otherwise, what he said or what he projected was correct. It is what it is.
Now, in terms of this series against Dallas, yeah, you're right, man. I mean, look, even if Paul George's, the Clippers have too much talent to lose to Dallas.
Yeah.
Even if they take them lightly, the best Dallas could hope was to do is go out there and take game one and make them mad and get them focused. There's no way this series is going more than 6 games. And like you said, I'm thinking it might actually go 5. I'm going to give Dallas 1, and it might be game 1. Because the Clippers might go out there with a soft selves and underestimate them a little bit. And they might go out there and get embarrassed, let Luka go off on them one good time. And then they're going to get right. Yeah. And it's going to be over.
And you know, Luka's shown this year that he's got a little bad boy in him. He'll start hitting people below the belt and different things. Shoot, he might get kicked out of a game or 2.
Take that. Bad boy.
Now we'll hop over to the Eastern Conference, man. So we're going to have the 76ers and the Wizards. I got to tell you, if you're the 7th AC, I'm going to go ahead and do it like this. We don't even got to split the games up. 76ers and Nets are going to beat the Celtics for the Nets, the 76ers for the Wizards in 5 games. Both of those series will be 5 games.
So I think Woody's question is actually more entertaining than the idea of how long is this series going to go.
Well, all we know is that John Wall wants out of Houston, according to his own vote on if he'll stay in Houston or not.
Yeah. So John Wall wants out of everywhere, man.
Where does he want to play, right? Does he want to be a Laker?
Maybe he wants to go to Charlotte.
Might as well stay in Houston. Well, you're not going to get a burn in Charlotte, right? Because that's in the middle of ball territory now, buddy. I don't need to come in there. Maybe he wants to go to LA and win a ring and be your starting point guard. He wants to be your new starting point guard next year. He wants to flip it.
Well, Dennis Schroeder probably ain't gonna be there, so you know.
Yeah, but you got to trade for Wall, unless they just get tired of him and say, you know what, man.
They probably get tired of him.
They're probably already tired of him.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. Neither one of those series should be competitive. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to pick the 76ers as the lone sweep of the first round.
Wow. I actually contemplated doing the Nets as a sweep. I feel like the Nets have a better chance to sweep the Celtics, but I feel like the Celtics will win 1. And the reason I
think Boston's good enough to at least get 1.
Jaylen Brown is out, right? So you're going to have Tatum have like one of those 45, 50-point games. Now, they're going to throw 4 or 5 different looks at Tatum from the net side. But I think they'll be able to get 1. So that's why I said 5-1 on both of those. But a sweep wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, on either one of those. Now we go to the Bucks and the Heat. This is the series that reminds me of the Lakers and the Suns, in meaning that I think Milwaukee, they have all of their pieces. They added some pieces. They got better. Obviously, Miami did the same thing. But I think Milwaukee's focused this year. I think there's a little bit of a sneaky chip like, oh, It's all about the Sixers and the Nets. Oh, we still here. Don't forget, we have the reigning back-to-back MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, on our team. We also picked up, Jrue Holiday. We still have Giannis's super sidekick, Chris Middleton. We picked up PJ Tucker to be that dog on defense to take some of those tougher matchups or be able to come in and still play aggressive defense when Giannis is out. So you got some pieces there. And I think they're a little disrespected. But Miami's hitting their stride right now. So Miami's coming into this game kind of getting their rotation together. They're missing a piece, but Victor Oladipo, he's hurt a lot. So you kind of know what you're getting when you get him. A lot of people were, getting at Houston like, can't believe you traded him for that. Right now, Houston is like, see, we got value out of this dude. You know what I'm saying? But as a player, he's great, but he's been hurt a lot. So the best ability is availability. We always said it on this show. He sticks with it. He's got to be available for them, but we don't know what they have this year. Tyler Hero is not the same player. Duncan Robinson is not the same player they were last year. Without those guys stepping up their level, it's going to be hard for the Heat to win this series. I'm going to go Milwaukee in 6. I think the Heat are going to make it competitive. I think every game is going to be tight, but Milwaukee's got to get out of this round. They've got to get to the Eastern Conference Finals and try to win the game. They've got to. That window is not going to be open forever. They've blown 2 opportunities. It's time to make something happen. They got to figure out a way. They're going to start by beating Miami in 6.
Yeah, I'm also picking Milwaukee for a lot of the same reasons you already listed. The only difference is I actually think this series will go 7.
Fair enough. Now, this series is going 7, and I've been contemplating all day who's going to win Knicks Hawks. So I read an article actually that one of the people that I know that does sports podcasting as well and writing wrote, basically talking about how the Hawks should feel disrespected and angry. Nobody's giving them a chance. That they're basically writing them off, and they're the 5th seed in the East, and they've come to play. Solid team. A lot of valid points in it, but I gotta say, I do think that they can win this series. I just have to ask myself, do I think New York can win the series as well? I'm going to say New York has the home court advantage. I'm going to say this one definitely goes 7. This is obviously, to me, the tightest game in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to go Knicks in 7, but I will kind of play devil's advocate with myself and say I can see the Hawks coming out with an explosion in Game 7 and winning as well. But I guarantee the series is going to go 7 games. And I believe it's going to be the Knicks that pull it out, but I would not be surprised if the Hawks found a way.
So, me being here in Atlanta, I've heard non-stop the whining and the crying by the Atlanta sports media about how they have been disrespected. So I don't know who wrote the article saying they should feel disrespected, but I haven't.
He's in Atlanta. He's from Atlanta.
I was going to say, you got to be in Atlanta.
He's in Atlanta. Yeah. He's all
because that's all they doing is whining and crying around here about the disrespect. So when I look at this series, I think it's going to be tight. It's going at least 6. I think it could very well go 7 games. You have 2 teams that really neither one has much playoff experience. So you don't really have what you normally have in terms of an advantage of one team having that experience over another one right now. But when I look at these teams, here's what differentiates it for me, and this is why I'm actually picking Atlanta in the series. If Julius Randle finds out what playoff defense looks like and he does not adapt to it, New York doesn't have anybody else really who can pick up that slack. They need him to go off. Now, I may come back, watch this dude in game 1 and come back and completely change my opinion on this if he goes out there and handles the pressure well and kills it. But when I look at Atlanta, if Trae Young doesn't get off, they have some other guys who can still score and keep them in the game. So that's not to say that New York doesn't have anybody else, but I just feel like if Julius Randle doesn't get off, they don't win this series. Whereas even if Trae Young has some bad games or gets held in check, Atlanta still has enough weapons to actually win. Now, none of the games are going to be blowouts. I expect these to be probably the best series to watch because it's going to be a bunch of really close, tight games, and they're going to be interesting. And this series will go 6 or 7 games. But for right now, until I see otherwise out of Julius Randle, I'm going to give the benefit that the Hawks can actually pull this off.
And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The play callers picks for the first round.
Do it NFL draft style. The pick is in.
So anyone watching, if you want to give your opinion on any of the games, hop in the comments. Also, if you have questions, anything you'd like for us to discuss on next week, that number that we were talking about just dropped down there. Hit it up. Tell us what you want to hear.
Speaking of, should we go ahead and go to the phone lines?
I don't see a better time than now, sir.
So we had one person who called a friend of yours, I believe, since he referred to you by name. So I'm going to play his entire message. Some of his questions are no longer relevant thanks to the pre-mentioned Charlotte Hornets, but we'll touch on some of his other questions here.
Yes, we will.
Hey, what's going on, Clint? This is KL, man, representing Class 97. Want to call in, leave a message. Want to see what you think about the Minnesota Vikings, see if they need to sign anybody for free agency. Also talk about the Mets, NBA playoffs, Portland Trailblazers, Charlotte Hornets. Again, just want to support Class 97. Be safe, brother.
Yes, sir. So
I do have to at least acknowledge the fact that dude called you out by your government name, though. Cold-blooded.
I'm not. He's one of my classmates from high school, man. So known each other a long time. But yeah, he did ask some good questions. I know he mentioned the New York Mets. They're actually leading the NL National League East right now. That's something that a lot of people did not pick or expect to be happening right now. Most people were expecting the Phillies, the Braves, or the Nationals to be there. The Nationals are actually the worst team in the division right now. So the Mets are playing well. Bats are doing good. Their pitching is holding up solid. They've had a lot of games where they're giving up 1 or 2 runs. So they are continuing to stay in that fight. They're only up a game and a half on the Phillies. They're only up, 3 games on the Marlins, 3.5 on the Braves, 4.5 on the Nationals. So everybody's kind of still in the running. But like I said, they're at the top right now, and it's not something that was expected. So, big ups to them for that. We don't get a chance to talk baseball a lot because, again, it's an hour. It's a lot to go over an hour. But,
Exactly.
we keep the eyes open. We listen and we watching. That's why we play callers. But also the other question that he asked, and, if you want to chime in, feel free to. If not, it's all good, was Minnesota and any free agents that they would need to sign. So I'd say at this point, more than a person, maybe positions, I'd say you want to get a solid running back, because you have a running back who is a monster when healthy, but is a Victor Oladipo with staying healthy. So I think Minnesota would want to go out and see if they can find or trade for a guy that could be a change of pace, or that could step into that role if they have their normal history of injury, for their quarterback, your Florida State guy. So I think that obviously you always need offensive line help. I know that they've lost some of their DBs. They lost a linebacker, signed a linebacker, but you always want depth at those positions. So I think more if you're Minnesota right now, you're just trying to find guys that have depth, but that could step into a little bit more, maybe not a starting role, but an expanded role if need be, and be able to not hurt the production as much. And you always want to keep your eyes out, if you're Minnesota, for a possible replacement down the line for Kirk Cousins.
And by down the line, not that far.
Not that far at all. Though Justin Jefferson makes him look a lot better than he did the year before Justin Jefferson was there.
Yeah.
Still stings.
I know.
Hashtag fire Howie Roseman.
So yeah, my thoughts in terms of, you talking about the running back situation, I agree. Dalvin Cook, I mean, he actually was relatively healthy last year, but he did still miss a couple games. And you have a couple guys behind him, but your drop off in production when he's not out there is pretty big.
Very drastic.
You're running so much of your team through him. So you really do need to have a guy. Now, obviously, you don't just go find guys like Dalvin Cook, and especially not at this point in the offseason. But I was a little surprised they didn't actually go and draft somebody or try to bring somebody in through free agency who at least isn't going to be as massive as of a drop off as is what they have right now. So I agree that's something that they should have done, especially since they are a team who likes to run the football so much. Because what you do not want to do with Kirk Cousins is actually ask him to go out there and throw the ball 40, 50 times a game. You definitely do not want to do that. So I would agree. That's where they really should have focused most of their attention, was getting somebody to come in when Dalvin is not healthy.
Well, I think they're probably looking at the same thing a lot of teams are doing is still have some gaps to fill. You're looking for cut days and seeing if guys who just may not be good enough to make a specific team, but that can bring you some value will be there. So I think they'll be able to feel it that way. If not, it could hurt them.
Yep. So we did have one other question on the hotline tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for us.
Yo, I'm trying to figure out and see what you guys think. What will be the bust quarterback this year? Because let's be legit, for the past 5-6 seasons, every draft had a bust that's supposed to be good. Now, some of them have been people reached up and we all knew they were going to be bad and they were still bad. But there's going to be a bust, and who's it going to be?
So who's going to be the bust quarterback this year? I actually think most of these quarterbacks went to really good situations. You have Justin Fields went to a great situation in Chicago. Trey Lance went to a great situation in San Francisco. And I know my co-host is going to touch on this a little later, but I actually think that the situation for Mac Jones was the best situation for him. Now, I'm still not convinced that Mac Jones is going to be some superstar or great quarterback. But the guy who I think went to the worst possible situation was the guy from BYU. What's his name? I can't even think right now.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. The Jets, they could prove me wrong, and I could end up being wrong about this. But much like we were talking about with the Clippers earlier, when you have a reputation, until you do something to change reputation, you still have it. And I like Robert Saleh. I think he's a great coach. But we have no idea what he's going to be like as a head coach. We only know what he's like as a defensive coordinator. So we don't know what he's going to be like. His offensive coordinator came from the Shanahan tree. He was, I believe, the passing game coordinator for us. And he is a guy who is obviously going to go and implement some of that system. But that doesn't make him Kyle Shanahan. We don't know what he's going to be like as a play caller. So a lot of question marks up there, a lot of questionable decisions in that team's history. If I had to pick today, the guy that I expect to have the least amount of success, it's going to be Zach Wilson.
So you make a very good argument, but I'm gonna one up you, and I'm gonna say Mac Jones is going to be the guy.
Who?
That is Mac Jones.
Who?
Mac Jones. I'm gonna say it's gonna be Mac Jones, and I'm gonna tell you why I think that. So I'm just going to give you a few names. Matt Castle, Jacoby Brissett, Jarrett Stidham, Jimmy Garoppolo. These are all guys that came along after or during the tyrannical reign of Tom Brady, under the Belichick tree, learned there for multiple seasons. And what do they have to show for it? Garoppolo could turn things around in San Francisco this year. But if we look at San Francisco, they clearly don't believe that because they went and drafted a quarterback early in the draft.
Well, he has that Victor Oladipo problem.
So now we're going to bring in another guy that Bill Belichick may or may not be able to use to his full ability. Brought him in young, drafted him high. The Patriots don't normally draft quarterbacks in the first round, right? They normally find gems later on. So now you're reached, in my opinion, slightly for a guy that you felt like you had to have that fell into your lap, but that we've talked about before the draft deficiencies with its game. Are you going to be able to hide that? I'll make another point in regards to him. I think a guy that they're going to try to rely on, and I emphasize the word try to be their deep threat, is Nelson Aguilar. As an Eagles fan, there's been two versions of Nelson Aguilar that have showed up in the NFL. The version that we had that had one great season and the rest of the time was Butterfingers and McButtery. And then there was the guy that was at the Raiders last year. So we do know from players like Chad Johnson, Randy Moss, and different really great receivers that went to New England that they run a certain system, a certain way they want things done. You have to adjust to that. So is that going to help Nelson Aguilar revert to Philadelphia's system wide receiver, or is he going to be able to just run and they're going to throw the ball up to him? Big question. So I think Mac Jones is in a situation where he has the probability to be the biggest bust. You have Cam there. If Cam has a good year, it's going to be hard for them to walk away from Cam. Jarrett Stidham's there, a guy they grabbed a few years ago. They will even put him in over Cam. And when he does get in, he looks like he doesn't even belong as a backup in the NFL right now. So you're bringing in Mac Jones. We've seen what you've done with the last few quarterbacks that you've cultivated since Tom Brady. I think he's going to be the one that's going to be the bust. He's in the best system for him. I definitely agree. But is that system really the best for him or just the best place based on what was available?
Well, I'm going to share Woody's comment here that Jones is going to be a bust because he's not going to play. And I'm actually going to slightly tweak that statement, Woody, because I actually agree with you that Cam is going to play well and stay the starter this year. And that's exactly why I think Matt Jones actually will have a decent chance of being a somewhat successful quarterback and not being a complete bust. The other thing you have to remember is Wilson was drafted number 2. Mac Jones fell to 15. There will be different expectations, although both are first-run quarterbacks. There will be a different expectation put on Mac Jones than they're going to be on Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was drafted to be the savior of the New York Jets. Mac Jones was brought in to be Bill Belichick's guy. That's the difference. And that's why I think he actually has a chance.
So let me flip that for you. Let me drop the head a little bit and flip that for you. So you're telling me being the savior of an organization that is complete, total hot garbage, doo-doo trash, can't win, always has a top 2-3 pick, is less pressure than being the chosen one of Sir Bill Belichick, the super football guru guy that has, 7-8 rings? I don't buy it. I don't buy it. No.
I think
I reject that.
I think the Jets drafting him number 2 is actually more pressure, not less.
I disagree completely. You drafted number 2, but the team sucks. You're not going to ask him to go out there and do anything for a year or two. If you're bringing in Mac Jones as a first-round quarterback pick for the Patriots, you're expecting him within the first 2 years. I'll give him the first 2 years to come out, win that job, and show why he's there. And you're not coming to an organization that has the expectations of, oh, we got to build up, we got to, we got to reload some players, we got to do this, we got to do that. You got all the guys back that opted out for COVID last year, as well as signing a lot of free agents. So you're expecting whoever you draft with a first-round pick, no matter what pick it is, to come in and be your guy. Zach Wilson, yeah, you expect him to be the guy, but 3,000 yards, 4 or 5 wins, 6 wins, getting them out of being a top 5 pick, that's progress. The expectation for the Patriots is deep playoff, Super Bowl, or bust. So the difference in those expectations year to year is why I say there's more pressure on Mac Jones, even though he was a later pick. That's my take. That's how I feel about the situation.
I feel you. And if he actually gets on the field this year, I might agree with you. I just don't think he's ever going to get on the field this year. So
well, that's why I said the first 2 years.
Yep.
Even if he gets on the field next year.
So we got a hot take from Witty. Witty, you need to call the hotline with some of these hot takes, bro. Got Julio Jones is going to end up in New England, is what he says.
Well, here's the part about that. So I was thinking of places that he could go last couple of weeks, right? You got to have cap space.
Got that cap space.
You've got to have assets that you're willing to give up. And you've got to be a destination that Julio wants to go to.
Which means you got to be somebody who's ready to win.
Now. So here's what I think. I think that we're going to have to see a few things play out before we really see where Julio's going to go. I think New England is one of those where you could say, you could pretty much link any veteran wide receiver that wants out or that they might want to trade to New England because you really don't have a dominant guy there right now. But look at where Julio might want, right? Because the Falcons are not going to just say, Julio, this team will give us a 3rd round pick. No one else will give us over a 4th. And I'm not saying that's the market, just for example. Yeah. So we're going to trade you here, even though we know you don't really want to go there. So you got to think about that. Maybe a team like San Francisco. I don't want Julio in San Francisco, but that could be a possibility. A team like Chicago, because maybe they feel like with their run game and they're probably going to have some money to spend, maybe they'll go after him to pair with Allen Robinson and keep him happy. New Orleans, they're going to need another weapon. So Michael Thomas turned into a guy that couldn't stay on the field last year. Hopefully it was just a 1-year thing, but you never know. And it's always good to have another guy to take some of the pressure off. So there are places where he could go. Maybe New Orleans isn't as big of a threat to win as in the past because of turnover the quarterback position, but just a couple of names. Now, Arizona, I saw earlier, has had some players recruit him. Most notably, Nuke Johnson has been recruiting him. So, Nuke Hopkins, has been recruiting him. So when your best wide receiver is recruiting another guy to come, he might be interested in that. And Arizona could be, a place where he could work out. Heck, depending on what happens in Green Bay, maybe Green Bay. Maybe he's the guy that they can get to satisfy Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years. You never know.
I would tell you, I know San Francisco has been mentioned a lot. To me, the main reason why San Francisco is not going to happen is it would require Julio to restructure his contract and take less money. San Francisco cannot afford to take on Julio's $23 million next year. Now, well, you know what? I say that, but here's the thing. If they can actually fit him into the cap this year, they might be looking at the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be there next year. And they might do that, but they do need to go ahead and extend Fred Warner. And they are going to have to pay Nick Bosa here soon, too. So I think from a cap perspective, I don't think Julio works in San Francisco, although he makes sense on the field. I do actually think that Green Bay is the most likely destination for him. It's a team that is ready to win. They have a definite need for wide receiver. And like a dude who's made his wife mad going home with flowers, the Green Bay Packers are going to do everything they can to bring Aaron Rodgers a Julio Jones, a bouquet of Julio.
That may be definitely something they want to try. I mean, the cap is the cap. If Julio really wants to be in a specific place, he can make it work. That man's made a lot of money in the NFL. So if it's about really trying to get a ring, there may be some places where he says, you know what, man, we'll do 1 or 2 years. I'll drop that second year for y'all. We'll see what we can make happen. If not, I'm out of here. We never know. I don't think cap is really the biggest thing, as long as there's a possibility to make cap space for him. I think it's fit, because fit's what makes sense. And like I said, he's made the bread. So now it's about, I want to get some money. I'm not coming to play for a few million, but I can sacrifice some if I think I'm in the right position to win. So just whatever teams he feels that he can make the difference on. I think be teams that would pop up after June 1st when he's eligible to be traded, where the Falcons have to eat half of that salary for this year.
So a couple other comments from Woody before we wrap up. First of all, he told us not to be making fun of camp counselor Kirk. And I know you'll appreciate this comment about Zach Wilson. He looks like Johnny Cage's stepchild. I would actually go so far as to say he looks like Johnny Cage's child, not stepchild.
Yo, Zach Wilson's mom is wild. I just want y'all to know. His mom is off the chain.
Is she?
His mom is off the chain. You have to go Google Zach Wilson's mom, right? She says whatever. Not crazy, but she's just off the chain.
Is she like LeVar Ball off the chain?
No, she's not that type of off the chain, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to get an idea of the level of
there will never be another LeVar Ball off the chain. There can't be. The universe cannot handle another one of those in our lifetime. Only one's enough. Johnny Cage. They're looking for an actor to play Johnny Cage in the next Mortal Kombat movie.
There you go, Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. Things don't work out in the Jets. Fatality.
Look, he might not want to do that though. As bad as that Jets team is, they'd be sagging him to us to finish him.
Flawless victory.
Fatality.
It could be quite funny. But yeah, man, as usual, big week in sports. We haven't had a chance to really hop into the WNBA. So many other things have popped up, but they're starting to get the season going a little bit. Starting to get some games going, which slightly touched on MLB this week. Hopefully we get some more questions from you guys when you're watching the replay, or, just didn't feel like commenting tonight. It's all good. But don't forget to, hop in, leave a message. We'll grab some and we'll play them every week. And as always, tell a friend to come holler at the play callers. And after you tell that friend, tell another one.
And in the words of DJ Khaled, and another one.
We the best music.
We the best live interactive sports talk show in the world. Might be the only live interactive sports talk show in the world, but that's why we the best.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah. As long as we're number one, man, that's all I care about.
Agreed.
Not picky about how we get there.
No need to be player. No need to be. No need to be.
But yeah, man, appreciate everybody who tuned in live tonight. If you're catching the show on replay, we appreciate you too. If you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button down there in the bottom right-hand corner. Mm-hmm. And if you're watching this on Facebook, go to that website right up above my name over there, playcollegesportstalk.com. That's our YouTube channel. It's going to ask you to subscribe. Just hit yes. That's all you have to do. We'll make it super simple for you. And of course, as my co-host pointed out earlier, if you want to be featured on the show, if you want to have your questions answered on air, 678-680-3998 is the number to dial. Leave a message. Please try to limit yourself to one question. We appreciate it. And
Maybe 2 if they're good.
Yeah, 2 if they're good. But like, ask somebody else if it's good before you just assume. Just, you know.
This guy.
Hey man, that's what we do, man. We have fun around here, bro. We have fun around here.
This guy. Hey, Phoenix Suns. He says 5 games. Just wanted to remind y'all. He said 5. He said 5. That's what
yeah, I said it. 5. I said it. Y'all write it down.
5.
And if we win in 5,
essentially he said,
come back on here and be unbearable.
Essentially, he said 5 times.
And if we win in 5,
gonna take.
And if we win in 5, I'm gonna come back on and I'm gonna play the clip, and I'm gonna be unbearable.
All right, and if you don't win in 5, come back and play the clip.
Then I'm gonna play the clip that I said it might go 6.
You're gonna play the same clip either way.
I still said it might go 6. I still said it could go 6.
But you said 5. I heard 5.
Well, I might need a clip. I might need to go play the clip for you, regardless. You clearly have hearing problems.
5 times. 5 times. No.
Think you've been doing too many spin-a-roonies, buddy.
Can you dig that?
Sucker. Portland. He also said that y'all gonna lose in 6 games.
Darn Skippy.
He ain't even giving. Not only does he not think you can win, he's not even giving you 7. He said the best y'all can do is win 2. That's it. That's your best chance is to win 2.
Yep.
He wanted to say 5, but he doesn't have the cojones I do.
Nah, didn't want to say 5.
You don't have the cojones, my friend.
I spelled out why I didn't say 5 in my brilliant soliloquy.
Haberdashery.
So maybe you want to go back and listen to that.
Haberdashery.
And see the excellence that was displayed in the knowledge of the team and why the dynamic was placed and why the specific number of 4-2 was given. You know, now if we had Jamal Murray, we'd probably be number 2. But that's neither here nor there either. But maybe I would be saying differently if we had that. But we don't have a starting point guard, you know, against a team that has a very dominant point guard. It's going to be difficult. So they're going to give 2 wins for that.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens, man. So y'all make sure you come back next week. And we'll talk about the NBA games as they're going on. I don't think any of the series are going to be over by next Friday night. When's playoffs start? Sunday?
Tomorrow. The Sixers game is going to be over after the first game. The Sixers and the Nets series is going to be over after the first 2 games.
Look, man, I said it last week. There's no such thing as a playoff series being over that both teams play a home game. Don't start that nonsense with me.
Listen, you can use whatever kind of broad, generalistic, hogwash and poppycock that you want to, but you know those series are over even if the home team loses the first game. Don't play.
Listen. I'm telling you that a playoff series is not technically over until both teams have at least played a home game.
And I'm telling you that I don't give
please note the word. Please note the word technically.
And I'm telling you I don't give a monkey's underparts.
Because I already told you I'm picking the Sixers to be the sole sweep of the first round. So
yeah, the Sixers in that series, man, they should be over pretty fast. You know, they might give up a game. I'd be surprised if either one of them give up more than 1 game. But hey, we have seen stranger things happen. If you're a fan of the Wizards or the Celtics, no disrespect. But yeah.
Yeah, this is all about matchups.
Yeah.
This ain't got nothing to do with your team. Ain't no disrespect. Well,
Yeah,
I'm a
okay.
Lakers fan, so there might be a little undercover disrespect towards the Celtics, but you know, they
Definitely
feel the same
towards
way.
the
They feel the
Suns.
same. They feel the same way about us, so it's all good.
Definitely towards the Suns.
Oh, I don't care about the Suns. Suns.
That man said the number 2 seed could possibly only win one game.
Yeah, I said it.
You know, the thing is, all jokes aside, I did pick the Suns, but like I said, I see that series going 7. You never know in 7 games, but 5?
I said it.
Wow.
I said it. I also said it could go 6. You don't want to talk about that though.
We said it could go 6, but you did say it could go 5 as well. 5.
I did.
5.
I'm just saying
that.
that's a possibility, you know.
I get that.
But yeah, we'll see what happens this week though. But man, it is time to go ahead and wrap it up for the evening. So appreciate everybody who tuned in. Whitty, appreciate you jumping in the comments tonight and entertaining us with your jabs, Zach Wilson and camp counselor Cousins. Counselor Kirk.
I do think I like that one, man. I do think I like that.
Counselor Kirk.
Yeah. Might have to change into camp counselor because I think I'm with that one.
𝗂𝗃𝗃.
I'll just camp counselor Kirk.
Yeah, that's what camp
I
counselor
know,
Kirk
but you gotta kind of say it out because it makes it sound better when you say it out like camp counselor Kirk. It just sounds better when you say it.
I mean, it does, but it's a lot of words, so you know, I can only say it so many times before I get tired.
Or you could say the camp counselor or counselor Kirk. Camp Kirky. Yeah, I would.
What he said? Yeah, boy, I'm here to stir the pot.
He said he'd go to his camp.
This camp. Woody, you'll be all alone.
I'll go to his camp. Somebody got to run a drink stand.
Look, if you go to Kirk Cousins' camp, everything that you think you're going to do is going to be incomplete.
This dude. You know what's funny, man? You remember a couple of years ago when y'all almost got Kirk Cousins?
I remember how I felt on draft day about not drafting Matt Jones?
Yeah.
Well, I never told you, but I felt the same way about not getting Kirk Cousins.
He said not for the football. That's wise. That's wise.
The best thing about Jimmy Garoppolo's contract was that his name is not Kirk Cousins.
Wow. All you can really say that is
at least Jimmy took us to a Super Bowl. Kirk wasn't taking nobody to no Super Bowl.
All you can say to that is cold-blooded.
Cold-blooded. Ice cold. And yeah, Woody, I don't blame you for not going to see Kirk Cousins for football, man.
That's a wise decision, most indubitably.
If Kirk Cousins showed up to my Super Bowl party to play flag football, I will make him be a wide receiver.
He could be my quarterback. He's still out there all of the rest of us suckers.
I mean, he could, but I'm pretty sure I could also pick him off. So if he's going to be your quarterback, I hope he's on opposite teams.
Man, Kirk gonna spit hot fire on that ball.
He said Jimmy G sounds like a barbecue sauce. It's actually funny that you say that because there's actually a barbecue sauce. I forget what the dude's name is. G Hughes. I saw it at Publix.
Jimmy G's Southern barbecue sauce.
Jimmy G's Southern sauce and brisket.
Pulled pork.
He's from Chicago.
KPS. The Bears.
Jimmy G's pasta and salad. Deep dish.
Bow down. Bear down.
The Bears.
The Bears. Bear down.
Bear down.
Still don't understand.
Yeah, still the worst.
Still
Look,
don't understand.
Bears fans, no offense, but that is the worst by far and away chant ever. Just want y'all to know that.
Bear down.
Bear down.
Da Bears.
Well, man, that is time for us to wrap up. I'm going to go enjoy some Jimmy G barbecue sauce. It's right next to my JR barbecue sauce.
I'm gonna go and enjoy me some the rest of the playoff game, the play-in, see what we have popping off, and enjoy some NBA basketball tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. See y'all next Friday night. What time? 8:30 p.m.
Eastern Standard.
Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
Play callersportstalk.com right there above my finger.
It's a little weird, but who roll with it?
Well, I was trying, but the whole like wrong side of the screen thing. It's actually there.
Yeah.
See, it's more above your head. So yeah, I should have just let you do it. We live and we learn, man. We live and we learn.
Red or green pill?
Don't let fish burn.
Fish don't fry in the kitchen.
Beans don't burn on the grill. But it is time for the play callers to say,
I'll let you vote.
ATL to Charlotte, North Carolina. Y'all better know that.
Yeah. And we out.